Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. We're getting a late start. However, as you all know, it's I have to, nothing is like really set in stone in terms of scheduling. I've been told that I need to set a schedule, but I like to do things in a spontaneity way. I feel like whoever's meant to be here when I'm here will be here. So we are in chapter 3 of She Was Made book. This is a book that I've written a couple of years ago that I self-published, all that good stuff. And we're in chapter 3. So what I did with this chapter, now normally we're on here for about 50 to an hour, 50 minutes to an hour. This particular chapter, I'm not going to say that it's sensitive, but what I will say that it is very informative. I took the time out to kind of, basically, I just went over the first 2 chapters of the book. And as I was going through the first 2 chapters of the book, there were a lot of key points that I would like to discuss, take note, and kind of elaborate a little bit more. I have to say this as a disclaimer, I'm not an expert. I'm not a psychologist yet, but I am an expert when it comes to my life, just like you're an expert when it comes to your life, the experience that you've learned along your journey, your personal journey, and the things that you've observed from other people. I am a forever lifelong student. I'm going to always be curious about life. I'm going to always want to know why, right? So we're on page 19. I don't know if you have a journal, but I always keep a journal with me. I'm always writing. I'm always reading. So we're going to jump right into this. Now, I titled this chapter Redesigned and Defined, simply because there are women who are redesigning who they are. They're redesigning their career. They're redesigning their personal life, right? They're redesigning themselves inside and out. Redesigned and defined. This time, as women are redesigning themselves, this time they're more defined about who they are, what they want to do, what they want out of life, and just what they want, period. They're at this place where they know versus where they were before, where they didn't know. A very popular poetress, I used her quote, Nikki Giovanni. Nikki Giovanni is a well-known poetress, and she gets right to it. I wouldn't say she's another Maya Angelou, because Maya Angelou is in her own. Nikki Giovanni is completely different. However, she does have the knowledge, the experience, the things that she's gone through. And Nikki Giovanni is very relatable. So she says, if you don't understand yourself, you don't understand anybody else. Now, that quote alone speaks volumes. What it said to me is that, you know, there are so many people who are judgmental. They will judge you. They will criticize you. It's almost like these people who judge and criticize are perfect, never made mistakes, never did anything wrong, hadn't committed anything, like they just perfect people. And I chose this particular quote to get the reader to first think about what it is that you're getting ready to walk into. Let me give you something to think about, because before you read this chapter, let's establish some foundation. Let's establish the ground rules as to what you're getting ready to walk into, as to what redesigned and defined really means. And that's something. So if you don't understand yourself, trust me, you won't understand anybody else, because in order for you to understand other people, you have to understand yourself. And trust and believe, there are a lot, majority, I could use the word majority of people, they really don't understand themselves. They're like completely clueless. And so that's why it's easy for them to cast stones. That's why it's easy for them to look down upon people. That's why it's easy for them to just judge without thinking, criticize without knowing, right? Make assumptions. You don't even know anything about this person's life, what they went through, but you're just gonna make the assumptions, right? So if you don't understand yourself, you don't understand anybody else. And before you can understand me or her, you have to understand you. You're probably like, well, how do I do that? Take time out for you. Take time out for you. People, women, I've heard women say, I always date myself. I go to the movies by myself. I go have dinner by myself. Okay, that's fine. However, there's nothing like the intimacy that you have with self when it comes to knowing who you really are. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Anybody can go on a date by themselves, but have you really took the time out in solitary where it's just you and you sitting there looking at yourself in the mirror and really facing those things that you fear, facing those things of the past, facing you. See what I mean? It's people say get you. See what I mean? It's people say, Gail, it's not that deep. To you, it's not that deep. It's not that serious, Gail. It's not that, to you, it's not that serious. And again, those people only tap at the surface. They only tap at what they can see, touch, and feel, and think that if I could just remove this, okay, I'm able to see, but if I could just remove that, it won't come back. You can remove it. However, eventually it grows back. So what we need to do is dig deep into the root cause of the problem. And once we get to the root of the problem, now we're able to remove it completely to where it doesn't come back. That's how you do that. But anyway, let me go on because I could get carried away. So, the first sentence, there's nothing like knowing who you are and what you have. Kelly Johnson was experiencing her lowest point in life, altering her body, thinking that she could have what she saw in other women. Now that's what's your thoughts about that? Now we're talking about Kelly. Now there's a whole bunch of Kellys out here, as there were with Maya's, and as there were with who was the other one that we were reading about? It was Maya and Gina. So Maya and Gina, and now we've got Kelly. Kelly is a woman who is at her lowest point in her life. And she decided to alternate her body, thinking that she can have what she saw in other women. There's that comparison. She's comparing herself, and she sees these things in other women, believing that if she did it too, she'll have that. But see, one thing you know, that's the thing. You are uniquely designed for a reason. No one is meant to look like you. That's why you look the way you look. No one is meant to be just like you. That's why you are who you are. But see, there's nothing like knowing who you are. So apparently Kelly don't know who she is. She don't know who she is. She don't know what she have. And this is why she's like down in the dumps, feeling some type of way, and figured that, okay, let me just make some changes to my body, and maybe I will feel the way they feel. But how many of you know that what may glitter on the outside may not be gold on the inside? So Kelly knew she deserved better. Now, she knew she deserved better. She knew now. But in her eyes, she wasn't getting it. Now, isn't that crazy? Here it is. She deserves better, but in her eyes, she's not getting it. Have you ever seen, like, let's just say your girlfriend, for an example. Let's say your girlfriend, and here it is. We're on the outside looking in. The perspective is much different when you're on the inside looking out versus outside looking in. So here it is. Kelly is viewing everything from the inside looking out. But have you ever had a girlfriend who was doing really, really well? I mean, doing really, really good. Whether it was at her job, whether it was a relationship, or just whether it was the fact that she was coming up, right? Coming up, she got a job, she's able to get this car, be a homeowner, she's doing good. But to her, and that's some people that's been there, whom have thought that way. I know several women who were, to me, on the outside looking in, they were doing excellent. Like they were really, really getting it. And then all of a sudden, I feel like, I feel like I deserve more. I really don't see what you see, Gail. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And the truth of the matter is they really don't. Truth of the matter is Kelly feeling or knowing that she deserved better, but in her eyes wasn't getting it. And that was 100% true. Whatever we tell ourselves, whatever we think, whatever we believe, it's 100% true, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent. If you say that you can't do something, guess what? You can't. If you say that you don't know how to do it, you don't know. You see what I mean? Until you can like really hear what it is that you're telling yourself that you can't do, that you don't know how to do, you begin to, wait a minute, I can do it if I learn how to do it. I may not know how to do it, but I can learn how to do it. You see what I mean? It's a difference. But if I'm telling myself that I just don't, what did Kelly say? She says, in her eyes, she wasn't getting it. So she knew she deserved better, but in her eyes, she wasn't getting it. Well, that's true. So now what do we do to change that? How do we get to a place where we are receiving what we deserve? How do we get to that place? And this is why this chapter in particular, um, it's it takes you on a journey of understanding why we're um, in the place that we are today. Why do I feel? Why am I going through? Right? So for many years, she was envious of family, friends, co-workers, and even people she barely knew. Now, I circled the word envious. People get jealousy and envious confused. And I had to write it down. I got to break it down for you because sometimes we use the wrong words to describe how we feel. We use the wrong words to describe what it is that we're experiencing. But first, let me go into redesign. Let's understand the definition of redesign. Now, when I looked up the word redesign, it took me to design. So there isn't a definition for redesign. It took me to design. And design simply means to prepare the preliminary sketch or the plans for a work to be executed, especially to plan the form and structure of it. So here it is, we're designing. Remember, a lot of women, this is where we evolve, we grow. And as we grow, we evolve, we come to a greater awareness. And when we reach that awareness, now we know what it is that we want. Okay, so now that we know what it is that we want, how am I going to get it? Now we have to put the plan. Now we got to write out the plan. How am I going to get it? I know what I want now. I know who I am. Let me go ahead and write it out. Now, redesign simply means to fix up. Now, that was funny. Now, redesign, when I looked up, now the definition part, here's the crazy. The definition part took me to design. But then when I looked up redesign in a thesaurus, it took me to fix up, rebuild, remake, upgrade. Let me upgrade you. Restore, revamp, renovate, refurbish. I don't know if it's registering yet by these words that I'm using. So fix up. When I think of fix up, I'm thinking of a fixer-upper home. The home is already there. The foundation is already there. We just need to fix up some things. Rebuild. Here it is. We've got this wall that's falling apart. And I need to rebuild that wall to get it right back. See? You're the wall. You're the house. I need to make some upgrades. Okay, so the house is already, I went ahead and fixed up the house. You know what? Let me add some upgrades to the house. Let me add a couple of, maybe some, I don't know, fancy ceiling fans. Or why don't I just add in a fancy countertop? Upgrade, restore, revamp, renovate, refurbish. I went into the Apple store a couple of weeks ago and purchased a refurbished iPad, brand new iPad. It's just been refurbished, recent generation. Nothing is wrong with it. They refurbished it. So you see where I'm getting at with this design. So defined, because this chapter is titled Redesigned and Defined. So defined simply means determined, fixed, or clearly marked out as to extent, outline, or form. It's characterized, you describe it. It's detailed, you explain it, you interpret it, you represent. So after we write out what it is that we want, now we have to explain. We've got to be able to explain it. We got to be able to represent it. Here's a good example. For some reason, people who attend college, students that attend college, people who've graduated from college, for some reason, there's this popular saying, you have to fake it until you make it. And it's like, but it's true. So once we identify what it is that we want, because now we know who we are, now we know what we want. So now it's time to represent it as if you already have it. So then it could come to you. See how it works? The same saying that goes, fake it until you make it. You're not really faking it because you know. Now you know. So it's not faking it. I already have it. And see, this is where, listen, this is why, people always say, Gail, they say, what church did you go to? Or they'll say, where did you get your knowledge from? Where did you get whatever you know from? And I always refer back to the book of life. The book of life, it's all in there. It tells you everything that you need to know in terms of how to become successful in life, in terms of how to really be balanced, in terms of how to really get what it is that you deserve. It's already ours. It's already here. We have it. So going on to envious. Now, I had to break this down because I did a video about this, how people be getting jealousy and envy mixed up. Jealousy is a little much healthier than envy. Jealousy is more of, I want what she has. That's jealousy. And what that does is it encourages you to go out and get what she has. It motivates you. It encourages, it motivates you. Envy is when you want to destroy what someone has because you wish you had it. Now that's different. That's not so healthy. That's like, I'm going to tear her down. I'm going to tear her stuff down. I'm going to key her car, split, whatever it may be. When I looked up the words, envious, jealousy, they're all words that identify emotions, how we feel. Envious means full of, feeling or expressing. Envy, distrustful, greedy, suspicious, and watchful. That's envious. Now, I wanted to break it down a little bit more. What is envy? It's a feeling of discontent or covetousness, with regard to another's advantages, success, and possessions. So here it is. It's a feeling of disconnect. Now you get the discontent. Now, content simply means you good. You good, right? You content. You're okay. You don't need for nothing. You good. Discontent is opposite from that. I'm not good. Like, I'm not. No, I gotta. Or I want more. I'm not okay. So envy is hatred. This is what I mean. Envy means you want to go after that person. You want to tear down what they have, or you want to mess up what they have. So there's hatred, there's ill will that's involved in that. There's malice, there's prejudice, resentment, and rivalry. All words of destroy. You want to destroy this person. That's what envy means. Now, to take it a little bit further, to understand jealous. Now, jealous is a feeling of resentment too, and it's against, hold on. It's a feeling of resentment. I said two, but there is no two. So jealous, feeling resentment against someone because of that person's rivalry, success, or advantages. Now, envy was a feeling of discontent in regards to another's advantages, success, and possessions. You see how the difference is? They're all envy, envious, jealous. It's all words to describe how we feel. So then jealous is another word for anxious, apprehensive, possessive, protective, resentful, suspicious, envious. So those are the words that kind of represent jealous. So then I said resentment because jealous means feeling resentment. So I'm like, okay, what is resentment? Well, how do you feel resentment? Well, resentment means the feeling of displeasure or indignation at some act, remark, person, regard as causing injury or insult. So then I'm like, okay, resentment means it's a feeling of displeasure to the point where you're causing injury or an insult. A person may say something, a person may insult you because they're jealous of you. That's one thing. But when they not only insult you, but then they call. So that's the difference between jealousy and envy, resentment, the different words that are used. This is why I say envy simply means to destroy someone else. You want to destroy they, ASS. Whereas jealousy, you're going to feel some type of way, but not to the point where you want to destroy them. Now, you may say some crazy fly off the mouth stuff, but jealousy doesn't destroy. Jealousy just makes you kind of be like, okay, I want what she has. And it either motivates you, encourages you, or it inspires you. But at the same time, you like, I can't stand her. It's crazy. It's crazy. You be like, I can't stand her. I want that. I want what she doing really, really good, but I can't stand her, but you want it. Moving on. See how these words is different. And when you start learning these words, now you can kind of have a better understanding about you, a better understanding of like everything that you're involved in, that you're surrounded by. All right, so Kelly was envious of family, friends, co-workers, and even people she barely knew, which made it, I'm pretty sure, easy for her to do. So Kelly, she judged everything by its appearance and didn't bother to care for the details, just as long as it looked good to her. Now, I circled the word judge. We pretty much know what judging means. I also underlined everything. Appearance. Didn't bother to care for details. So here it is. She's just basing what looks good to her by what it looks so happy together. They just make it look easy. But you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know what demons they out there fighting. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they're really arguing about. You got a lot of people that really know how to put on the smile and make it look like they're not going through anything. And for those people who have discernment, you can kind of tell. Yeah, you smiling. I see you cheesing really, really hard. But I know there's trouble in paradise. Is there. I don't care how big the smile is and how much you try to hide it, is there. Isn't that something? That's what I say. Everything that glitters ain't what? There you go. Everything that glitters ain't what? There you go. So we know a lot of women who go by the appearance of what they see, and they don't want to know. They don't want to know the bad or the consequences, the negative consequences that come along with it. They just see the positive consequences in it. Now, everyone has that one friend who is always comparing herself to the next woman, not realizing they have their own unique qualities. Every conversation Kelly had started off with, why is it that why can't I have what she has? Everyone has that one friend who is always comparing herself to the next woman. You know somebody that's just like that. I know somebody that's just like that. And then there are some women who don't make it too obvious, but it's obvious, right? Even with, oh my goodness, this whole comparison thing. See, this is why Nikki Giovanni said, if you don't understand yourself, you don't understand anybody else. You don't. And there's nothing like knowing who you are and what you have. Because when you know who you are, and I say this, I know, I say it all the time. And I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. And one day it's going to register to the ones that hadn't registered yet. But when you don't know who you are and you don't know what you have, you're going to always compare yourself to the next woman. And whatever that woman is saying to you, you're going to always assume that she's talking about you. You're going to always assume that it's about you. It's not always about you. It just isn't. I mean, really, it isn't. But for some reason, this is why women feel the way that they feel. This is why they do what they do. They're constantly comparing. And see, this is why I say the only competition you have is with yourself. You should be having a competition with self in terms of getting better and doing better in life. If you are still in the same place you were for more than 5 years, that is a clear indication that you are stuck, or you are at a place where you may say that you do care. You may say that you're okay with it. You may say that you are content, you're satisfied. But women, we constantly grow every 5 years. Every 5 years, we're in a different place. We're in a different place mentally, in a different place because we grow. We have lived a little, we've learned. Now we're applying it to our lives. This is why you see women. I just at work. I'm going to give you an example. You could be at work. Say that you've been working at your employer for about 15 years. And every single time they've hired someone, they come through that door looking one way. But give them a couple of years, they walking at that door looking entirely different. Entirely different. They're making more money. They're making smart decisions with their money. They're investing their money. Or it could be personal development. They're reading. They're learning. They're applying. And you can kind of see the transformation take place. Some people don't ever grow. Some people don't ever transform into their greatest potential or into their God-given talent or into their purpose. They just never do. However, on the inside looking out, they're going to beg to differ. No, I am different. I'm not who I was up 10 years ago. I'm just not. I'm not who this is what I do now. What's coming out your mouth and what is being seen are two different things. But see, they don't know that. They don't know that. And the reason why they don't know that is because they don't know who they are and they don't know what they have. It all goes back to that root, to the root, to that foundation. And this is why you have women who are constantly comparing, who are constantly looking at other women, right? Who are constantly in competition with her. Why are you in competition when she's not even paying you no attention? She's not even thinking about you. But yet you over here thinking about her. You over here thinking that whatever you thinking, and you just in your own little world going in circles, chasing your tail. Chasing your tail, just going in circles, chasing your tail. Nobody's paying you no attention. So the only person that you should be comparing to is the person you see in the mirror every time you go in that bathroom or every time you look in the mirror. That's the person you should be comparing yourself to. What am I doing differently than I did 5 years ago? Where am I 5 years ago compared to where I am today? Am I still in the same place? What do I want? What are my aspirations? Some people are just okay. Some people are fine. That's just what they want. However, deep down inside, they're aspiring to do more. They're aspiring to be more. They want more. So I wrote the word compare, and it's to examine in order to know similarities and differences, two or more ideas or people. So you're comparing, trying to see, okay, what are some things that we have in common? What are some things that we don't have in common? I had a girlfriend who constantly kept saying, that's what we both do. No, we both don't do. We both don't do. And I never corrected her because what she said was positive. What she said was good for her. She'll say, that's why we do this. But she would always compare herself with me. And I never said anything. Never. And the reason why is because the things that she was comparing, they were all healthy and good things. Things that she needed to say out loud. You see what I mean? That she just needed. And I don't think she was looking for... what do you call it? What do you call it when you are looking for someone to confirmation? I don't think she was looking for confirmation. I think she was looking for validation. Not confirmation, but validation, which is different. Validation is when you validate what someone is saying, like you in agreement with what that person is saying. But for years, she compared. I remember I had told her that, my goal was to purchase a Mercedes, an all-white Mercedes 4-door that I had been looking at years ago. Next thing I know, and it was a CLS 550. That was back in the day, that was my dream car, which I test drove last year. And I test drove the 450. Oh my gosh. Beautiful car. And it was pearl white. Oh my goodness. It had a diamond grill. But anyway. But yeah, I told her that, my dream car is to get a Mercedes. And I kid you not, a year later, she goes to purchase a Mercedes, but it was a smaller version and it was white. So you see how even in friendships, your influence, who you are, the glow, the positiveness of who you are, kind of trickles down to that friend. And that friend who is constantly comparing herself, things that we do alike, things that we don't do alike. She constantly did that. But you see how the level of influence that you have, your positiveness, the great things about you, it trickles down to the friend. So even in friendships, family, we've got somebody who's always comparing ourselves to each other. There's always somebody we're comparing ourselves to. Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. But the crazy thing about it is, I don't think she knew that she was comparing the similarities and the differences between her and I. You see what I mean? People don't know. Half the time, people don't know what they do. And this is why I always say you can't fault people for not knowing what they're doing. She didn't know what she was doing. However, had I told her, listen, you keep comparing us. You keep finding the things that we do, and you keep finding the things that we don't do alike. The things we do alike and the things we don't do alike. And there has been moments where she will say, this is what we do. And I said, no. One time she said this, we always been competitive. We just got that competitive mindset. And I correct her then. No, I don't have a competitive mindset. I've never wanted to compete. I've never had an interest of competing with you. Now, mind you, when I told her I wanted a Mercedes, she turned around and got one. When I told her I wanted to buy a house, she turned around and got a house. I can go on and on and on, but it's okay, because what it did was it motivated her. It encouraged her to do better. So whenever it's adding value to someone's life, I don't say anything at all. I don't look at it like it's a bad thing. You see what I mean? It's a difference. But I know I said I wasn't going to hold you. I wasn't going to keep you for an hour, and I'm going to hold to that promise. We're in chapter 3, and we left off with every conversation Kelly had. And I'm just going to mark so I don't forget. And she would always say, why is it that she fill in the blank? Or why can't I have what she has? Why would you want what she wants? And remember, Kelly based everything based off of appearance, what it looked like. Well, maybe it looked good to her. That's why she wanted, because it looked good. Well, it looks good. That's why I want it. This is an interesting chapter. Very, very interesting. And, I just couldn't go no further than this. This is like understanding, what it is that we can really jump into, but taking it step by step so that you can have a greater understanding of you, a greater understanding of where you are, and also think about having moments of reflection of how you handled certain things when it came to you, not with that person, but to you, even if that person was involved, because at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with me. Make sense? So I'm going to go ahead and leave off here, and we're going to resume. I don't know when. You know me. So we'll resume. And, oh, wow. Sorry about that. So we'll resume later, and we'll come back. But thank you. Make sure you like, comment, share. If you think this was helpful, let me know. If there's any questions. If I don't know it, I'm going to find out. Because when you ask me a question, I don't know it. I want to know what it is. So I'm going to look it up. I'm going to find out, what have you. But I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for continuing this journey with me as we learn about these different women, their experiences in their journey. Until next time, continue to use what you have today to empower tomorrow. I love you.